This is the inside of the Elddis Xplore 422. If I firstly move to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volts on by flicking the master switch. This in turn will give us a voltage reading of the leisure battery. We then have the entrance light switch, water pump. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. And lastly, we have the awning light on and off just here. Beneath that we have the controls for the whale heating and hot water system. You'll see at the moment that both are off. If we start with the water heating first of all, you'll see as I press it, it goes over a series of icons until it eventually ends back at off. So if we start with the first one, we have a single wavy line. Wavy line represents mains electricity, and I round it up to make it easier, so I class this as main supply using about 1 kilowatt. We then have two wavy lines, so mains electricity using about 2 kilowatts. So these two settings here are just dependent on the ampage of the site you're on, so you can pick and try to avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can pop it onto the little flame there and run off the gas. And if we want hot water extremely quickly and we do have both power sources available, we can run it in dual fuel mode. So we can run it on a mixture of gas and mains at 1 or a mixture of gas and mains at 2. Whenever you are consuming gas, you will get a little flame appear just here to let you know. And if there was a problem with the water heater in any shape or form, you would get a red exclamation mark appear where my finger is just here. If that appears, to find out what the fault is, just hold the button down just here, and then you'll get a series of little red lights appear along this line here, and then within the manual, or if you Google it, it will then tell you what the problem is. If you think it's a basic problem that can be easily rectified, once you've rectified it, you will need to reset the control panel. So if it's a fault with the water heater, just hold the water heater button in and then press the plus, and it will then put the error code out, and then it will attempt to restart again. If it's a heating problem and you've got a red exclamation mark, same again. Obviously press the button to see what the fault is, and to reset it, just hold the heater button and the plus button together. If we now come down to the heating, again you will see that we get a series of icons until we eventually end back at off. So we have a single wavy line, again main supply, but this time about 500 watts. We then get two wavy lines, so main supply at about 1 kilowatt, and then three wavy lines, mains electricity at about 2 kilowatts. So again, just dependent on the ampage of the site you're on. And then we have gas if we do not have mains. Temperature control just here, plus and the minus. Whale recommend dropping down to this little picture of the moon if you need your heating on during night whilst you're asleep. It will keep the caravan at about 16 degrees. And if you drop it down all the way to the snowflake, that's basically like the frost protection mode, and the heating will come on if the temperature inside the caravan drops below about 8 degrees. If we now come to the front bench seats, and I just remove the cushions. If we now lift up, you'll see that we have the location of the whale boiler just here. To drain the boiler down for winterization or for travel, firstly make sure the water pump is turned off, and then come to this yellow lever here and flap it up like so. and all the water will then drain out of the boiler. If you are fully winterizing the caravan, I always suggest that you then also open up all of the taps in the van, because this will aid in releasing airlocks in the system and it will drain down much better. When it comes to filling the boiler back up again, make sure the taps are down, and then make sure this is then back in the position it is now. Fill up the aqua roll, drop the submersible in, and then turn the water pump on, and it will then begin filling the boiler back up again. Wait a few minutes and then begin to open up all the taps. They'll cough and they'll splutter as they force the air out. Once they're running freely on hot and cold, then reclose and the system will then fully reprime itself. Also in here we just have the location of the alarm, the location of the control board for the power touch motor mover. You'll see that we have the gas isolation tap there for the fridge and the gas isolation tap there for the boiler. They are both in the on position and can really stay like that. I always say they're more for maintenance than anything else. If you did smell gas in the caravan, always just go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. We then have the consumer unit here. The battery charger sits just at the rear here, so just make sure that nothing is obstructing it so it can stay cool. If I drop the front, we can then see the front of the consumer, and you'll see that we have the trip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, the main RCD and the test button just here. So if anything's not working on main supply, just check to see whether or not you've tripped. And then beneath that we have the 12 volt fuses, and again they're all labelled up. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not one of these has blown. Underneath the other bench seat you will see that there is basically storage. In the overhead locker just here you will find the television aerial. This is also the aerial for the radio as well. On and off just here, and control the level of the boost just here. To raise the television aerial, just unscrew the collar and then push the mast up, and then manoeuvre it into the position that you require and then lock it into place. Never over tighten these collars because you do run the risk of splitting it. At the moment the aerial is sitting in the horizontal position. We can flip it to the vertical by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. To turn the radio on, just press the button that says SRC. You will see that this does have both USB connectivity and auxiliary connectivity just here. Change tracks or search for radio stations just here. Volume control just here. If you need to go into the settings menu, just press the volume button in and then just rotate. And then back off again on the SRC button. Microwave just here. Do make sure that contents are removed for travel. This will work when you're hooked up to main supply. We have quick start just here, stop, power settings, wait, defrost, all the normal bits and bobs that you find on most microwaves. The Avtex television. This is a travel TV, so it is running 12 volt. These TVs do come with a DVD player and USB ports in the top. As you change location, the television will need to be retuned in, and these TVs come with a quick retune. So we have this button just here, just press it and it will then take you straight back to the retune menu, and then just hit OK and it will then retune itself back in. The Dometic fridge turns on and off just here. At the moment you'll see we're running on mains electricity with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If we want to run the fridge on gas, just press the flame. These fridges automatically ignite themselves, so nothing else is required. If it fails to light, it will begin to beep at you and you'll get a red flashing light just here. If you want to make the fridge try to ignite itself again, because it may just have not lit down to the fact there might be some air in the system, just press this button just here and it will then attempt again. It does highlight it just here. And then lastly we have 12-volt maintain to keep the fridge on basically cold whilst we're on the move. If I press this at the moment, it will beep at us and we'll get that red indicator because we're not currently hitched up to a tow vehicle. You would also get that noise if you were trying to run it on main supply and you were not connected. Temperature control just here. Push down just here to open the door. Removable freezer box. There are just 2 clips either side just to remove it. Wardrobe, and within the wardrobe we have the freestanding table. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. So to operate this, firstly wind the roof vent open, and then middle button turns the unit on, and then you'll see we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are closed for travel. We then have the sink, and the hob. To ignite the hob, push in, twist, and then come down to the igniter just here. We then have the oven and the grill beneath it. Push in to the left for the oven. And then we have the grill. Storage beneath the oven, but you'll also find gas isolation taps for both the hob and the cooker. Washroom just here. The light for the washroom is just located above where the television plugs in. So we have the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the shower screen is clipped back for travel. The basin. and the toilet. To open to the cassette, just pull the lever across just here, push to flush, level indicator just here, so this will illuminate when the cassette needs emptying. Close to the cassette again. If this is left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody has left it open. PIR sensor for the alarm just here. Just press the button every now and then and it will just flash for a little while. This is just letting you know that it is working. It's wireless, so it does require batteries from once in a while. We also have the smoke alarm and the carbon monoxide alarm. So again, just press the buttons to make sure that they are all operational. If the alarm was to go off and you cannot turn it off on the alarm fob, you can actually come into the caravan and you'll see this little bit just here. If you take one of these little keys here and then you plug it in, it will deactivate it. The beds in this model are extremely easy. You can either have two singles, or if you're going to have the double, just slide this section out, and then I personally flip the cushions over because it makes it more comfortable, and then just drop both back cushions in, and then you have an extremely large double bed.